Left jab, uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best, you gotta show me son. Actions over words, baby boy, is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports,
Yo, shout out to the hottest chat in the MF and Game, A-Side official. No negotiations needed, period. You already know we back at it once again. This is just going to be not too long, but just to basically address a stray, that wanted to debate. I dropped the link. I'm not sure if she got the link, but I did drop it in the DM. And the reason for that is simply she went on somebody else's platform that I don't know the exact reason, asking for them to set up a debate between me and her. For whatever reason that is, I have no idea. Because it didn't make any sense to begin with. Why would I go on somebody else's platform for a debate just to be, outside of neutral territory, and then all the other BS that comes with people putting you in the background, kicking you off the panel, and all these freaking, unfair tactics and advantages that people need to be in the comfort of those who they feel good of having them in their presence. I just pretty much, base my opinion on this particular person. I let it go, but I seen her over there talking about I was ducking the smoke and all that. And that's just wild because I don't know what smoke she was talking about. Real talk, smoke and mirrors. I don't know exactly what smoke you was talking about, but I did drop her the link. I did drop you the link. And what you're looking at in the thumbnail is she was over there on KO's channel, and she said, somebody tell World Combat Sports I've been looking for him. Why she's looking for me, I have no idea. Because this is not, recess. Let him know I'm looking for all the smoke. Yeah, I heard that before. Let him know we can debate if he really about that life. KO could set this up. Yeah, right. That's hilarious. Yeah, unfortunately, you wasted your time by, giving him a $10 super chat, man. You wasted your time. You could have came over here and gave me a super chat. That's all you could have did. God damn it. You could have gave me a super chat, man. You could have saved your money. I'm not gonna go over there on no, bias channel like that and have a debate, man. I've seen enough debates on here to how it all work out. You know what I'm saying? She finally popped up. Give me a minute right quick. Give me a minute right quick. Let me see. Hey, hold on for a second. You're already in the you're already on the panel, but hold on for a second. Let me finish something up right quick. Okay. Let's welcome 2 Cents Boxing
What up, World
for
Combat?
good. I'm good. She came over once again. This is not the first time she came over, but I guess you felt some type of way to go on KO's panel and give away $10. You could have saved that money. But
Oh
what's
no,
on your
I
mind?
always
What's on your
donate to
mind, Charlie?
KO.
What's on your mind, Charlie? Talk to me.
Oh no, see, KO got a debate series. So I was publicly calling you out to a debate because you said they didn't know what I was talking about. But he has like a real debate series where they got 3 judges and all of that. I didn't know y'all had some type of prior. I didn't know y'all didn't have a relationship like that. So that's all that was about. It wasn't nothing serious. I was just challenging you to a debate in the TKO debate series.
So you think it would have been fair if I was on his platform doing that, um, whatever you call it?
Yeah, I mean, you have the opportunity to pick. I guess if you want to pick a judge or whatever, like we make it fair. It ain't like I'm trying to
Oh
ambush
hell,
you or nothing. Why
hell
wouldn't
no!
I want a fair debate?
Because the platform is on. That's neither here nor there. Because I know damn well for me, it would never be fair over there for a
Like I
debate.
said, I don't know your prior relationships with people on YouTube. I don't know, so I don't know.
But why you chose to seek me out after I left the platform? You felt some type of way because I said what I said about you. It
No, I
wasn't
just want to
personal.
debate you. You said I didn't know what I was talking about, so let's debate then. That's
You
it. Yeah,
you did not know what you was talking about at that specific topic. See,
we
you
could have
you took it
debated
and
it
ran
then.
with it. It was no
We could have
debate because you
debated
was
it
too much
then.
in your feelings, though.
Why you?
You
Why
go
you?
by D, right? You
What
go by
feelings
D,
was
right?
I in?
You go
By
by
who?
D, right? What's your name?
Jay.
What
Jay.
J. Okay. I
Yeah.
saw you. I saw J and D. So okay, J. Because I looked at it like
D is
this.
D is my husband.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, I know you're married. But check this out. Um, I was just talking about the specific topic, how y'all was going in on Brian Norman. And I was like, man, the way y'all talking, it's like you act like we don't have no boxing history down in Georgia. Y'all acting like that guy's just a straight up bum compared to Boots. And I know you have your opinion about Boots, but it just seems like that's just the EJ fan carryover to Jerron Boots Ennis.
But see, let me see. That's the thing. I don't like when people do that. Maybe other people be fans like that, but I'm fans of people because I'm fans of people. I'm not fan of you because of EJ. That wouldn't even make sense. But I've actually been following Boots throughout his whole career. So I've been watching him since he pretty much turned pro. It has nothing to do with EJ. And the Brian Norman thing. What was we? I mean, what was you saying I was wrong about exactly? Because I was just saying that Brian Norman is not really in a position to be calling any type of shots in negotiations. Like seriously, he's not.
I mean, if you have a belt, absolutely you have a percentage of leverage to negotiate. If you have a belt, why have a championship belt if you believe they don't have no say so in debating a freaking championship bout? Just like Caleb. Caleb was the IBF championship. He still went to the table negotiating with Canelo, him and his team, and he ended up being paid the most money he ever made in his boxing career per fight.
But did they not give him an opportunity to negotiate? He got the opportunity to negotiate. They gave him an offer. He said he wanted more. They gave him more. He absolutely had the option to negotiate. But then now you trying to be like, oh, I want it in my hometown and all of that. Like, come on. They gave him the option to negotiate. They gave him up what 1.7 mil allegedly, and
Who wanted it
he
in their
wanted two.
hometown? Brian Norman didn't never want that fight in their hometown. Like that wasn't gonna happen. So
Or they wanted at a neutral location. They wanted at a neutral location.
I mean, now they do. I mean, if they say I'll take 1.7 if the fight is in a neutral location. That's all. Just like when Wilder offered Anthony Joshua 50 million. It's per stipulations. It has to happen this year, and there's no rematch clause. You know what I'm saying? That was the same thing with Norman. They said, "Hey, we'll take the 1.7 if it's in a neutral location." I mean, they're basically going to another man's backyard, who's potentially going to have some hometown cooking. That's all. That makes sense, don't it?
I mean, but then you think about it, right? Because okay, you turn that down, but then what was the ladder? Like, what did you end up doing? And when you
They
see
climbed the
that,
ladder.
it kind of don't make no sense. It kind of don't make no sense.
They
Like, why would
climbed
you
the
turn
ladder
down
though.
that?
He said they was offered
They was
initially.
on Michaela undercard. They didn't move
That
forward.
don't make any difference though. I mean, look, that
And they
y'all have
got
to
paid way
understand.
less money.
You being a woman, right? You have to understand when you say they was on Michaela's undercard. Let's not act like we can't pull Boots off being an undercard fighter. He just started being that dude that was headlining the card. They just started building him up in Philly. Who did
But
he
I'm
have to
saying
sign with to make that
I'm
happen?
saying but listen to what I'm saying though. I'm saying in comparison to headlining with Boots to being on the undercard for way less money. I'm not saying nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying in comparison to what you turned down to what you end up doing, that's a big jump
That can go for both
backwards.
fighters. That can go for both fighters. Boots took
How?
less
He fought
money to fight.
Stanionis. He fought another champion.
Peep this out. He took less money. He said it. Um, Jay. He said it. He said he took less money to fight Stantionis. He pretty much gave him the bag to fight Stantionis. He put it all out there on record.
But wouldn't you
Boots
agree
said it.
Stanionis is a bigger name than Norman?
Hell no.
Come on.
What did
Come on,
Stantionis
World
do?
Combat. He's
Stantionis
a
ain't do
bigger
shit.
name than Norman.
Stantionis ain't do
Hold on a
shit.
second.
Shout out to everybody in the chat.
You caught me in the middle of running my errands.
Oh, you could just let me know in the chat. We would have chopped it up some other time. But you know,
Okay.
Stantionis.
Well, I'm gonna land my plane and then we can catch up another time.
Oh, for sure. Go ahead and land your plane then.
Yeah, that's all I was just trying to say. Like three, that's good. Okay. Yeah, it just I don't know. It just didn't make sense for them to turn it down, in my opinion. Because what happens if he loses that belt? Then you ain't got no leverage at all.
Who, Norman? He loses it
Yeah,
what in a fight other than Boots?
yeah.
I mean, that's with competition. I mean, that's like looking at the negative light, you know, without even giving the man a chance. I know. Look, I understand this, Jay, that you have your favorites, and I have my favorites also. But the way y'all was over there denigrating the man, and you was kind of saying like you basing all this off him being in a sparring match with Boots in Philly, all the word that's been going around, you know, the way he looked in a fight prior to the Santillian fight. I get where the criticism can amount, but the man has a title, and the way y'all was discrediting him having even a chance with Boots was puzzling to me because Boots is just now getting that conversation. And, you know, people having his back, people believing in him. They just starting that shit. This is a guy who was just on the
No,
after
ain't
the
nobody
post
just
fight
start
rematch.
believing him. Maybe you, but ain't nobody just start believing in Boots.
Y'all wasn't
That's
look.
not true.
I
That's not
surfed
true.
these streets. You wasn't talking about him when he fought Karen the first time. You say you've been following him majority of his career, and you have never talked about Boots like you are now when he fought Karen for the first time. You didn't give a damn about that fight.
That don't mean I've been following him his whole career.
But you just you concur with what I said. I'll be in these streets surfing too, and I know I never heard you co-sign Boots like you all are doing
Do
now.
you listen to my live? Do you
I
listen to every single one of my lives? I
I,
don't think you
I
do.
listen. Look, I hit the replays a lot,
I
and
talk a
your
lot about
energy.
Boots. But listen, that none of
Now
that,
you
even
do.
whether I got a
Now
lot
you
of
do.
videos or not, that doesn't mean that haven't been following him his whole. It's a lot of fighters I've been following their whole career. I got a lot of videos about Shushu Carrington, Abdullah Mason. I'm following all those fighters right now. I don't have a lot of videos about them either. That's not indicative of how much I've been following their career. So I wouldn't
Those are
base
receipts,
it off
though.
of that.
Those are
I
receipts.
mean,
If you look at how many you know, videos or content that you had on Errol Spence, then okay, we can say the same. Okay, let's look at how much content you have on Boots. And the shit wasn't there. Just admit it. You all wasn't fucking with Boots like that until he won this freaking he beat Stantionis because you was
so
so
you
unsure. You was
that is
unsure.
not. Bro, you tripping, bro. All right, I'm about
I'm
to go because
serious.
I'm telling you one thing. You trying to tell me that what I'm saying not true. I'm telling you, I've been following the man his whole career. Just
But
because I don't have a bunch of
your
videos on my
content don't
page
say that,
doesn't
Jay.
mean.
Your
But
content
that
don't
doesn't
say that.
mean anything.
Okay.
That doesn't mean
It's
anything.
just like me
What?
saying
So
I'm rocking with
does
Bud
I
and I don't
follow
have no
Abdullah
content.
Mason? I follow
Okay.
Abdullah Mason. How many videos I got about Abdullah Mason on my page right now?
He just came on the scene
None.
though. Boots has 30 plus professional fights.
And I
Your
would advise you
content,
to go back. I would advise you to go back and rescan my videos and see me talking about boots, because I definitely do. But I gotta finish up running my errands and
yeah, go ahead and do your thing.
going to the grocery store and stuff. But I'll be
What-
back, and you can hop on my live too, bro. Ain't nobody trying to ambush you or nothing like that.
Oh yeah, definitely y'all are. Okay, yeah. And you know, the way this went down, I sent you the link in the chat. I mean, in your DM. I didn't send it to your chat, but them people over there, they impulsive. I'm not impulsive. I said, hey, I ain't trying to make no enemies. I gave the preamble, right? Did I not say that? I say I'm chilling. And what you do? You said, what you mean by that? You ain't trying to make no enemies. And you saw exactly what happened, because I know I was around some soft ass niggas over there. Not you per se, but your peoples.
That listen, like I said, you can click my link and on my platform, and we can chop it up.
I will link up another time. Appreciate you pulling up.
All right.
All right, peace. Sean Surf Senior in the building. So all that was is, you know, just the opportunity to try to converse with a content creator that talks boxing. I just said at that moment, the topic they was talking about with Jerron Ennis and Brian Norman was frivolous information. They was speaking of it like there was very minimal to zero chance of him having an opportunity to go in there and give Boots a competitive fight. It was more so leaning very, very heavy towards like he could do nothing right. Like they was pretending like they've been supporting Boots for a long time, and I didn't agree with that, because I remember the people that was rocking heavy on Errol Spence, and I know the cats that was trying to transfer that support once they found out Spence wasn't headed back to the ring. They was trying to transfer or turn over that support to Boots Ennis, but Boots never really had an exciting freaking fight with a notable name that they gave a damn about. The Karen fight, the matchmakers, the ranking systems, the hocus pocus of boxing gave Karen the name, bro. For real, they gave Karen the name, because look at Ramon Villa. He stopped Ramon Villa, who made his name off Rashidi Ellis. Ramon Villa came back for part 2 with Boots, and Boots stopped him. For a minute, they was feeling it. For a quick minute, they was feeling it. Because stylistically, he went in there and he got the job done. But stylistically, Villa was tailor-made. Tailor-made. With a bow tie for Ennis. Tailor-made. And this is a fight that came after the suspect. The Koran Chukazakin fight, the first one that he had, when he was moving around and Boots couldn't cut off the ring, he couldn't do shit. He looked bad in there. And people's like, oh, I'm not too sold on this. I'm not too sold. And then he came back with Ramon Villa. And then that shit went away. They say, okay, he stopped Ramon Villa. And people was like, okay, hyping him up a little bit. But then the real ones, the hardcore fans, was saying Villa was tailor-made for this dude. I mean, nothing too special, bro. Who was Villa? Villa made his name off Rashidi Ellis' victory. And then, you know, he came here and got stopped by Boots. So, I mean, it was what it was. And then he fought the fighter that they was criticizing Crawford for fighting. This one, his fan base, they wasn't even fucking with him like that. These new profound fans, they wasn't really kicking it like that off those fights. Off the Korean first fight, bro. On a Tank Davis undercard. No. This is January 23rd, 2023. This not too long ago, January 2023, yo. He had a fight where he went the distance with Chukaskin. It's like, people's like, I don't know about that, man. That's a little bit, I seemed like he was a little bit over. He couldn't get that guy up out of there. And then he went and got the knockout of Villa. He was like, okay, he looked good in there against Villa for that style. But who was Villa? Villa wasn't nothing special. He just had an Ellis to his credentials. Then David Avanesian, the same fighter that they ridiculed the shit out of for Bud fighting. They gave him every nickname possible. Avocado, Avanesian, Abisnesian, Avalesian. They gave him all the shit. They criticized the shit out of him. But you're going to turn around and fight David Avanesian yourself? Why? There's no other opponents. You're going to fight a common opponent of Crawford. And when asked what they thought of the fight, it would say, oh, well, he did what he's supposed to. It wasn't that special. I mean, who is that guy? Who is that guy? And then Boots turned right back around in July 2024 and fight the guy and can't even get him up out of there. But yet fight fans are taking to social media trying to report news, trying to vocalize that he got him up out of there in shorter fashion than Crawford. Come on, man. Why y'all do that shit to yourselves? Why? Why do y'all do that all the freaking time? Why y'all do that, man? Y'all know goddamn wrong. Y'all know goddamn well you're 100% wrong. And you'll sit up there and continue to say he got him up out of there in shorter fashion. Come on, how, bro? How can y'all say that? Crawford flatlined the shit out of Avanesian. The doctor had to come and rescue Boots so the fight wouldn't go past 6. Crawford went into the fight with Avanesian knowing damn well that Green Machine had already stopped him in 6 rounds. Not only that, these people was talking about Crawford was cheating. He had on tampered gloves. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? Now, it's up to WCS to remind y'all, because they have what is considered to be search engines out here. And these search engines, depending on the inquiry that you insert into the URL, you're able to retrieve data. Okay, that data, depending on who you are and how you word it or how depth your knowledge is in the boxing aquatics, you can retrieve certain information to present to the fight fans to prove a point, right? It happens all the time. But am I wrong for reminding fight fans of what Crawford's mentality is like? See, this wasn't Dr. Phil walking in there giving Avanesian a lesson and, a verbal counseling session. Hey, you know who I am. You see me on TV. All I want to know is right now, based off up to this point and the punches you received, do you feel like you can continue? If you could just let me know verbally, with a yes or no. And look, Avanesian was like saying, okay, I'm good to go. I feel like I can go. But depending on, who panel you on, they sit up there and say that, oh, Avanesian, he didn't want to fight no more. Did he call the doctor in? Did Avanesian call the doctor in to go there? Me, I'm looking at like with this snapshot of Crawford, and Avanesian looked like he's laying and he's pretty much ready to be suited and booted and laid to rest. It's a difference in consummating any doubt. Crawford consummated any doubt, put it to bed. When you have a doctor going in there stopping the fight, and you had the help of Eddie Hearns, that could not be considered stopping a common opponent in shorter time. Anyway, I choose to move on from David Avanesian. That right there, I can't get that life back. I can't get that time I spent explaining that shit. But they treated Avanesian like he wasn't shit, and he couldn't get him up out of there. He couldn't. Then we go to, that was July 2024. We go to November 2024, the rematch. How? Oh, they up here boosting. Wow, WCF, he's a mandatory. He did what he had to do. He did this. He did that. Okay. So when you go to Chukazakin, Chuhazakin, or whatever the fight is, let's look at this for a second. He fought Jaron Ennis February 7, 2023. Okay, that was the first time he fought Jaron Ennis. In between time to fight him again, he made it up the chain of command to the mandatory spot once again by fighting Michel Marcano, 29-7. Okay, I told y'all how I did a live stream on the ranking system, how Boots went up the ranking system. I replayed that on the live before, on how he was haste. He was pushed up the ranking ladder in haste, and some of the movements didn't make sense based off the opponents that he faced. But Michel Marcano, y'all, for Karen, his record currently stands at 38-14. Okay. This is Chukazakin working his way up the ladder to get back in the good graces to fight Jaron Ennis. So, if we go back to when he initially fought Karen, he lost. But then he had a TKO loss to Velasquez before he stepped in there, a couple of fights before he stepped in there. And then you go on down, he had Cornflake, Thomas Lamana, who's fighting Jamal Charlo. He lost to him via UD, right? He had a KO loss to Jeremiah's Ponce. KO loss. Petri Petrov, KO lost 2021. Then back-to-back, another KO loss, March 2021. Then he had another stoppage, John Fernandez, Miguel Roman, back-to-back losses. So what I'm trying to say, for Karen, he beat a guy like Michel Marcano as a stepping stone to get back in the good graces to fight in a mandatory position for Boots. I can't make this up. Okay, that dude was 29-7-1. Then he goes in there to fight Pietro Rossetti, 18-1 at the time. Okay, his record currently stands at 19-4 with 8 knockouts. This is Karen working his way up into the good graces of Boots. Okay, he's working his way up the ladder. All right, this guy, at least he only had one loss, and that one loss was a split decision in Mexico early in his career. So he stepped up there to fight Corinne, and he lost via TKO, and that was October 28th, 2023. Then this is fighters to get him back in the mandatory spot, a championship mandatory, y'all, for Boots Ennis with this level of opposition. He fight Harry Scarf, y'all. 13-2, Harry Scarf. He fought Rossetti October 28, 2023. And then he turns around in May 17, 2024. This is Karen. He fought a guy called Harry Scarf, whose record currently sits at 13 victories, 4 defeats, 3 knockouts. He's 31 years of age, a UK fighter. He had previously had 2 losses in 2019 and 2020 back-to-back. Anthony Fowler and Troy Williamson. Okay. The dudes he had beat in between there to get the Korean wasn't nobody special, but he did have a 5-fight winning streak. He stepped in there with Karen and lost a unanimous decision now. He lost a unanimous decision. Look at this. When he fought Harry Scarf, this is a guy to help catapult Karen back into the mandatory slot for Boots. And he 13-2. This what I'm trying to explain to these Boots fans who saying Norman Jr. ain't shit. Let's talk about the system not being shit. Harry Scarf, 13-2, catapulted Karen back into the mandatory slot. He had a loss to Jaron Ennis in 2023, and then after that, he fought twice in 2023, once in 24. You know, when he fought hard, the first semester of 2024, and then the second fight in 2024 in November, he fought Jaron Ennis. Those guys, no one was looking for them. Not only that, look where he fought him at, though. They wasn't even U.S. fights. He fought Meccano in Madrid, Rossetti in Munich. You feel me? Rottingham. Come on, man. He might as well went over to Mexico, man, to the swap meet and purchased him some opponents, the three for $1. Because these three opponents was able to get Karen back into the good graces of mandatory to fight Jaron Ennis. And they up there talking about Karen did well in the rematch. He fought better because he stood in the pocket. No, that says that Boots, it was something to be said about his performance value for a guy to fight this level. I'm talking about F-level competition comparable to the level Boots supposed to be on. To get back into the mandatory slot, and we supposed to admire the ranking system? Not only that, but he went in there and went the distance off one knockdown. He went the distance, yo. He was down in round 5 and deducted a point in round 10. But he was dropped in round 5 and the job couldn't be finished. But Boots got it done. I would say that. He got it done. He has a total of 35 fights. His record is 34-0. If you wonder why it's not 35-0, you have to always go back to that one fight, Chris Van Heerden, where it ended up a no contest due to a freaking cut from a headbutt. And then from there on, his fans will brag about Sergey Lipinets, a former champion in 140 who lost to Mikey Garcia. But just because he had like several fights at 147 prior to stepping in there with Jaron Ennis and going 6 rounds and getting stopped, they give him glory for that shit. Thomas Delorme coming off 2 losses, steps in there with Boots. He stops in 1 round. If anybody give him a breath, I'm talking about a whisker of goddamn credit for Thomas Delorme at this stage in his career. Don't know shit about boxing. Cusio Clayton went in there and laid the fuck down like silk sheets with the AC on, goddammit. Silk motherfucking sheets. Went out in 2 rounds, bro. Didn't try. Cusio Clayton didn't try. 21-1. He didn't try. Boots is his only loss. This man fought Jaron Ennis May of 2022 and came back in February 2024 and fought Courtney Pennington and won a split decision. This man has 1 freaking loss and he just laid down for Boots. And then the next landscape of fights is what people are raving about right now, based off Karen, who fought 3 fighters that nobody would even blink a bat, a whisker, a lash at. But yet, they put this man on the elevator and sent him up 3 floors. And even when he got off at the 3rd floor, they said, no, go 1 more up. We going to the goddamn top floor to the suite. Now he's the mandatory. Based off a Chukazakin, right? Times 2. It's even people out here boosting up David Avanesian. David Avanesian was lighting Boots up in that fight, and Boots couldn't even drop him and stop him. Yes, I need to put those two, drop him and stop him. I try my damnedest not to compare Crawford when I'm talking about this welterweight situation that we have right now, being that he pretty much is the sole proprietor of White Glove in the community as the welterweight undisputed champion. And those are very, very big gloves to follow. Fuck the shoes. Those are big gloves to slot your hands into when you look at Crawford's resume and see what he did at welterweight. He was on a stopping spree, not a shopping spree, a stopping spree. We can't say that about these guys who are up here trying to say all of a sudden he beat Stantionis. 15 now. Boots has more than half the experience of Stantionis. Over half. Boots started fighting. His debut was April 2016. April 2016. Stantionis' debut was April 2017. All right. Not that long after Boots has started as a professional. He only started his professional debut in 2017, Boots in 2016. Now, when you look at, these people that's boosting him up, saying he's going to run over Norman and leave him to wake in traffic, you have to count the amount of fights in his career, like I did Canelo, that he consistently start to fight fighters with winning records. So let's try this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 divided in 30. Okay, well, yeah. 15 professional fights, as I'm looking at right now, before he started consistently competing against fighters with winning records. That means 2, 3, 4 in a row. 15, y'all. Anybody and their mama knows that 15 is half, damn near half of 35. Damn near half of 35. So half of those fights, he was still fighting fighters. And he came in just a little year before Stantionis. And they went on a building format, which we all know in boxing, that is pretty much a default for certain fighters to build up their resume. Within that point in time, I went over this before. The amount of 4-rounders that he has, the amount of 6-rounders that he has, 1 8-rounder, back down to 6-rounders, 2 6-rounders, back to an 8, back to a 6-rounder, back to an 8, now jumps to 10. Okay. Now, when you talk about Mike Amatis, his name, that's when he consistently started 10-round fights. And this was 2018. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 fights, 10 rounders. And then Van Heerden, he was a 12-rounder. Sergey Lipinets, a 12-rounder. Then Thomas Delorme, a 10-rounder. He dropped back down to 10 rounders. 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12. And the reason why I'm saying this is like Norman's record. Yeah, both of these guys was going through the boxing format of fighting guys to build up their boxing ledger. I'm not saying that's not the case with either fighter. Norman went through the same format, but to act like there's extreme separation between Norman and Boots right now is preposterous. All because you're not willing to do logic. I'm not bringing logic in this bitch like it's a new word, man. Let's be logical about how he received his first belt. Just understand that there was a moment in time where people was like, we haven't heard Boots in the ring and hear them say, and new. He hasn't went in there and fought a champion, period. Stantionis was that guy. And look, now they want to act like Stantionis with 15-0 heading in there. They want to act like he fought a whole lineup of killers. He fought Gabriel Maestre and went the distance when Michael Fox beat the brakes off this dude. Stantionis went the distance when Michael Fox gave him the work and they robbed him. They robbed him. But he has a Gabriel Maestre that got caught cheating with his gloves. He got caught thumbing. Yeah, we talk about cheating all the time, but Gabriel Maestre got caught thumbing, him and his team. Thumbing the padding away from the knuckle area, cheating. And he was exposed, and they made him change out the glove, and Michael Fox gave him the business. In 2021, he fought Thomas Delorme, who was 25-4. Okay, 25-4. Now, peep this out. Stantionis had fought Thomas Delorme before Jerron Boots Ennis. Jamal James had beat Thomas Delorme in the unanimous decision back in August 2020. Then in April 2021, Stantionis beat him. Okay? Stantionis beat Thomas Delorme in a 12-round unanimous decision. That's 2 straight losses. I'm not saying that's his only loss. He had a loss earlier to Yadinas Ugas a couple of fights ago. He had a draw with Jesse Vargas and Terrell Williams. He won a UD. But Jamal James had defeated Thomas Delorme. Stantionis defeated Thomas Delorme. And wouldn't you know, Jerron Ennis was up next on a 2-fight losing streak. He fought Thomas Delorme and damn near moved up 2 slots on the ranking system at the welterweight division. That's wild, huh? That's wild. This is what Stantionis, Stantionis fought Thomas Delorme coming off a loss to Jamal James. I'm just putting it out there. Then he fought Luis Collazo, who was 39-8, y'all. You heard it. You heard it. 39 victories, 8 defeats when he stepped in there with Stantionis. And it was an accidental head clash. Just like Van Heerden and Ennis, it was an accidental head clash in round 4. All right. So let's just exclude Luis Collazo. Okay? We still at Thomas Delorme. That's the lowest we can go. I don't want to go down to Justin DeLoach and Janner Gonzalez. Let's skip over, you know what I'm saying, Luis Collazo and go to Butayev. Split decision win. Split, not a UD, but a split decision. A split decision, man. Y'all still with me? Y'all still with me? Y'all hanging in there, man? Because I know this can get a little bit weary. That WCS is just bringing up this factual content. This is factual receipts, and that was one of the reasons why when I was in that certain demographic over there on that channel, I knew that the conversation wasn't going to go well because I came well prepared. And I already seen right off the back, they just weren't trying to hear me pull out that brown paper bag and flip it upside down and drop those receipts out in the middle of the goddamn panel. They didn't want to hear that. My people not willing to hear another black person with just as much boxing knowledge, if not more, than you thought you had. So then it got a little crazy, with the disrespect, because I came in there with premeditation. I already knew the nigga was locked in with KO. So once KO locked the pound, I said, let me go over here and semi be antagonistic, but keep it on boxing. Just me being antagonistic by showing my face. I came up there and talked boxing. Then wasn't looking for no smoke, but I just wanted to show my face to see if those particular individuals will feel some type of way. And they actually proved me right. They proved me right. Nigga got mad to my get out the panel kick. They felt good kicking me off the panel. They felt good. They was all warm inside. Yeah, we kicked that nigga. We showed them KO. We showed them. We kicked him off the panel. Yeah. Then the whole ass nigga show up in my goddamn chat. I can respect Jay because she's came over here before and clicked the link. And even though I say she don't know shit about boxing on that particular topic, it's just some shit that she say that I don't agree with. But I can't say she don't know shit about boxing. I just said, you don't know shit about boxing about that topic dealing with Brian Norman and Boots Ennis, because you're basically clouded with extreme bias. And it has nothing to do with the shades that she's wearing indoors. It just has something to do with her unwillingness to see it from both sides. If you are rocking heavy for one fighter and you call yourself a hardcore boxing fan, but yet you cannot find it within your soul to say something positive about a fighter that may potentially be on a collision course with your newly profound favorite fighter, then guess what? It's hard to respect your point of view, because I be going around listening to people's shit when a certain fighter that I know that they rock with aren't performing up to standards, and I'll just be listening. I'll just be listening to what they have to say to see if they really paying attention to this specific fighter, especially Boots Ennis, because that was supposed to be the next one after Errol. And I didn't hear all this support. If you asked him to spell support when he fought Karen, after he fought Karen the first time, it would stop at S. It would stop at S, man. It wouldn't even get to the U, dog. It would stop at S. I ain't bullshit. I'm not bullshitting. Look, if you were playing Hangman, that shit would stop at the S, man. Motherfucker be dangling from the rope. You don't have to get to the whole motherfucking word. Shit be hanging, coughing and shit. And let me down. Somebody cut the. It's just a goddamn boxing quiz. Goddamn, cut the motherfucker, dog. Y'all killing me for real. The Hangman to be talking to the ass. What the fuck y'all doing? Y'all weren't fucking with Boots like that the first Karen fight after that shit. You try to fuck with him with Villa, but you didn't respect Villa because you didn't fuck with Rashidi Ellis. But then when he fought Karen, y'all turned around and said, well, I don't know about that. Let's get to the private chat. They went in the private chat to have a deliberation. And they still didn't come up with anything. And they just left the session. They said, hey, I'm just going to call it a night, man. It's not like we got to, come up with a verdict just now. I'm just ain't sold. We're going to come back a little bit later. If I see you in the street and you want to chop it up, cool. But I'm not going to waste my breath on this. It's too taxing. And then Avanesia, oh, shit. These same Boots fans that was dogging Crawford. This is why I did what I did. Because these same Errol Spence fan who transferred the Boots fans, they was dogging Crawford for fighting Avanesian instead of Errol Spence. So when it came down to it, when Crawford got Avanesian up out of there via 6-round brutal sleeper, sent him to the land of Nod first class, Then he went to Spence in 2023, and the T-Mobile massacre is history. So therefore, you have to say to yourself, when y'all was dogging out Avanesian, it's because y'all was still laying on the hate for Crawford thick because he stepped in there with Spence. Y'all niggas was up there saying he was ducking. He didn't want the smoke. Blah, blah, blah. He's pricing himself out. Goddamn, EJ did all the heavy lifting. Crawford's on this side of the street. He left Bob Aaron. He still ain't sold no tickets. He ain't do shit. He ain't fought nobody. Well, he was undisputed one. Who cares? Julius and Dongo wasn't nobody. Look at this record. They'll pull up the record and they'll go from top to bottom, y'all. Hey, this Julius and Dongo right here. And they'll go through all the fights after Crawford. But I promise you, if you look at the resume, when Crawford fought Julius and Dongo, undefeated. He was undefeated. Just like a lot of fighters was when Crawford fought him, and then they had a slide. It might have just been that they was on the front end of those punches and it wasn't that nice. But they were saying that Crawford didn't fight or do anything. He didn't fight nobody, and his achievements is nothing that Errol Spence couldn't achieve. And then, WCS was trying his best to have parliamentary. Give me order. I try to go up there with parliamentary, and I say, listen. Check this out. Maybe. Okay. Just hear me out. Just hear me out. Just think about this. I was trying to be fair about this shit. When Crawford finished the T-Mobile massacre, I felt it was my due diligence to spread the word. Even though the word was already out, I felt that I need to be a boxing evangelist. So I went to some of these channels and make them aware that, yeah, they was absolutely wrong. And they pretty much knew what they knew based off the fight being televised all across the land. I knew these particular folks that I hopped on their panel. I knew they was very well aware who I was. I know them cowards was sitting in the goddamn shadows. They didn't think I was going to ever click the link. But luckily they gave me a chance only to kick me off. Why? Because they felt like I couldn't raise my voice because this nigga raising his voice. You supposed to talk down on the nigga. and I don't supposed to have the option to meet you at the same numbers of your temperament. I mean, you are talking to a grown-ass man, which I don't feel I need to explain that to someone who clearly understands he is. But every person with age don't grow. They don't develop the way they supposed to, especially on this social media shit. It's a lot of softness and estrogen levels that are clouding the air. Niggas don't wear masks, but yet they take time out and they breathe in that estrogen. They really breathe it in, deep breaths, and they hold it because they want that shit to saturate their insides. So when it comes to somebody like myself, they want to be able to lose their emotions. And then when I raise my voice and match their energy, it's a problem. Then they go to, you're on my panel. Just stop it. I'm a kid. You know what I'm saying? They kick me out. Oh man, get over here, your soft ass. You just did a soft ass move. You kicked me off your panel. Anyway, back to Boots. That's pretty much what I have to say about that. I just felt like y'all up here trying to pretend like you was supporting Boots forever. And we know that's not the case. I just gave you a clip note breakdown once again of how fight fans are now trying to hold Jaron Ennis on their shoulders and parade him around like it's in front of the Boxing Hall of Fame or something. Stantionis, I tried to tell Jay respectfully that Stantionis was nobody special. She was trying to say he was a bigger name than Brian Norman, but guess what? At this present time, he is the youngest world champion in the sport. Stantionis is 30 years old, and he is without title. Okay, he is without title. But you have a 24-year-old who's the youngest champion in the sport right now. But people don't listen. They just thought that, hey man, he's not the youngest champion ever. You weren't listening. You wasn't listening. That just goes to show you how impulsive you was. Special ed classes don't work for everybody. They don't. But Stantionis was nobody special. He didn't have no separation in the class. People just used to, mention his name just because he had a belt. And they was like, oh, well, that'll be. Say these fighters had good showings, solid showings. Why are you all selective in saying that, yeah, they stunned against an opponent who wasn't considered an A-level 50-50 fight? Y'all have to start putting that up. As Stantionis wasn't a 50-50 fight for Boots. Come on, man. Errol Spence, a 50-50 fight for Bud, right? Both of these fighters was on the pound for pound list for a long time. Both of them have been unified champion. But y'all was saying this man had more accolades than welterweight. Now we have the next, the young generation trying to establish who's the king. And y'all act like the separation now is just like you did with Spence. Oh, Ennis has 2 belts. So what? How he got the first belt, the IBF? No, it's not respected. They sent the letter. Oh, his fans want to say, well, that had nothing to do with him. It sure he did, because he said, I got your belt. Come get it. When I get this belt, I'm going to step on him. Well, he got the belt, and he wasn't stepping on anything except, old gum on the sidewalk. He wasn't stepping on nothing. He said it's over. When I get the belt, when I get the scrap, it's over. He got the notification, and the goddamn letter was returned, and they could not fulfill the request to go into negotiation with Boots because they was locked in contractually to Errol Spence for a rematch. So he received the IBF title. Okay. That's how it went down. But for the first time in Boots' career, he beat a champion in the ring at 35 professional fights. His 35th professional fight. 35th professional fight. 30 professional. 35. You heard me. 35. 35. 35. Archie Moore became a champion at 38 years of age. Then, God, 35. He beats a champion in the ring. So that right there gives the kind of edge to Norman Jr. being more. I'm just saying he's done more at the age he is now than Boots did when he was that age. I mean, his father won line. So I'm just telling you all. I'm giving you an ultimatum. Stop that bullshit now. Stop acting like there's total separation. There's total dominance. It's a no discussion. It's no debate. Yes, sure, it's always going to be debate until they fight each other. And that's if Boots is able to stay in the division long enough, healthy, because we don't want to go down memory lane, listening to all the Errol Spence fans say he was weight drained. We don't want Boots to have one of those nights. We don't, we came, oh, we came, revisit those days. I say revisit those days back in July and 29th. We can not revisit July 29th, 2023. We can't, we won't. I'm telling you, we can't do it, y'all. We cannot revisit those days because souls was taken back then, y'all. We got to move back up to the new era where we have a situation. We have a welterweight division. We have two fighters. Brian Norman Jr. and Jerron Ennis is what people want to see. Now, Barrios is out there just like Udenis Ugas was. That belt was just out there so Spence can scoop it up. Nobody really wanted to see that mother effing fight. Nobody wanted to see Ugas fight Spence. They wanted to see Spence fight Bud. And that's where we at right now. That's the reason why some of these Jerron Ennis fans has finally gained enough confidence to stand up for themselves, because they want to try to, say that they've been there the entire time, which is false. It's not true, yo. Y'all wasn't there the whole time. This man just beat a Lithuanian world champion who had just half of the fights that Jerron Ennis has. And he came and started his professional career in 2017. It's not like he's Ortiz, who just fought Edgar Berlanga, who did a 10-year bid for a burner. What? Let me see. Let's go back here. Okay, he had 4 fights in 2017, 3 fights in 2018, 2 fights in 2019, three fights in 2019. During the pandemic, 2 fights. 2 fights in 2021. 1 fight in 2022. Skipped 23. I guess he was saving up money to go to the T-Mobile Massacre. For real. Because he didn't fight during that year. He didn't fight. From April 2022 to May 2024. There's a big, huge gap there. And then from May 24 to April 2025 is when he fought Ennis. And y'all trying to say he was a killer with that much layoff and taking step aside money? This is the dude that you saying was a killer? You saying he was a killer? Stop boosting this dude up, man. This dude got paid the most money. Just like Liam Cameron, who just went out here and laid an ostrich egg against Benjamin Whitaker. Didn't even put up a fight. But you know something that stood out? He said, I got paid the most money I've ever been paid in my career. I'm happy. This dude didn't even have a belt. It seemed like they're giving away money because that's the same story they said about Stantionis. They said Stantionis got paid very well. Boots bragged about, I took less money. That's how bad I wanted. No. Because if that's the case, why you didn't take less money with Brian? Duck. Come on, bro. Why you didn't take less money with Norman? Why are you sitting up here talking about we sent him 3 offers, they turned him down? But for the complexion, that was detection. Yes, for the complexion, that was detection. For monetary protection. Yes, that's what happened. He got on here and said, yes, I took less money for Stantionis. They gave the Lithuanian, who took step aside money previously, even more money. God damn, I didn't know DEI had bled over already. The cancellation and shit had affected boxing. God damn, they ripped affirmative action said, shut that shit off. Hell no, I don't like that shit right there. You ain't giving no Norman, no Southern boxer. You ain't taking less money for that. Oh no, you got to keep them thinking, just like it's a Jim Crow laws. This man said that's how bad I wanted to fight. But him and Norman was both champions, and you did not brag about. Let me take less money. I really want to go ahead and knock this guy out. Let me take. No. That wasn't a combo. That wasn't a combo. They sat up here and wanted to make it personal because that Southern complexion that Norman Jr. has wasn't something that fit the prerequisites to get the benefits that they gave Stanthionis. They wasn't willing to stoop down and provide that African American, that Southern Negro, the opportunity to step in the ring because they wanted to give it to the Lithuanian, who was a much easier fight stylistically, who didn't propose the ammunition that he would have received if he would have fought Brian Norman Jr. I get it. There was a lot of weary minds. And Eddie Hearns, hey, listen, Boots, I'm gonna be honest. You just follow me. Brian Norman Jr., he's not what you want right now. It's too dangerous. High risk, low reward. Fight Stanthionis, low risk, medium reward. Because you're basically getting a belt, even though I'm paying for the belt. The progress is for you to get a second title. And I think you would better get it by massaging Stanthionis with more money, and you won't have to take less money, okay? But we're going to appease him, give him the nod, and he knows he's going to have to come off that belt. And that's pretty much the easy way. And then we can take a fight back to Philly, Wells Fargo, sell it out. You know what I mean? And this is me. I'm Eddie Hearns, and I can do this, Boots. Just and look. And once you get the title, you know you're stuck with me again, right? And I'm going to make you a star in Philly. Wells Fargo, the Philly fight fans will know who you are. You understand? Jerome, you don't seem excited. You understand what you know what I mean? We're going to pay this money to Stanthionis, get him out the way, and then we're going to go up here and say, yesterday's price is not today's price. This is what we're going to say. You understand? You know what I mean? And that's what we're going to say. We're going to build you into a superstar, a unified champion, and we're going to go back and we're going to drain the Philly fans dry. That's the plan. You really don't ever have to face Brian Norman Jr. if you don't want to. It's a dangerous fight. Don't give a fuck about sparring, but that's a dangerous fight for you. And we want to keep these belts as long as possible. But we're not fighting Norman Jr. right now. Yeah, Eddie Hearns planned that, and Boots was up there like, I like that. Get the money. Unified champion. About to bring back another Macy mannequin to Philly. Gilsoff, who fought on the undercard, hold his hands all the way down by his freaking kneecaps. This is the fighter. Oh, that's disrespectful to the Philly fans. I'm not gonna lie to you. That shit's disrespectful as hell. That shit they doing over there to the Philly fans, they deserve better than that, yo. They deserve better than that. Gilsoff, Boots, nah, no way. That's not it. Philly fans deserve. That's a fighting footprint. That's a boxing footprint over there. They deserve better, bro. They experienced 2 Karens and an Avanesian. Can you believe that shit? Now they about to get a Gilsoff, y'all. They about to get a Gilsoff. They went through 2 Karens, an Avanesian, and now they about to get a Gilsoff. They don't know what a Gilsoff is. They think that's a goddamn splash water gun that you buy your kids, man. With no age limit. Hey, man, you better get that new Gilsoff, man. They got it in yellow and green and blue now. But you got to pay a little extra for the red. But they got them Gilsoffs on the shelves now, yo. I'm talking about they can shoot. They say they can shoot up to 300 yards, accurate. Water. Or if they would hit 300, accurate target practice. Yeah, get them gear sauce ASAP, bro. You can order it online and all that, man. They got a special. Philly fans is about to witness gear sauce, y'all. Not a Norman Jr. And Boots is being co-signed by these Arrow fans to say that he took less money, and these fools are trying to say that Norman was getting paid 17 times more than he's getting paid in his fight. But yet, where's the argument for Stantionis? What was the argument for Stantionis, though? Why did you have to bend the knee, genuflect, kowtow? Why did you have to place yourself in a position of inferiority and say that I took less money to fight Stantionis? What sense? I mean, I'm talking about intellectual. When you want to just dig deep in the neurological headquarters, what sense does that make to prove to the people that Brian was getting paid 17 times more, but y'all was unwilling to appease him to make the fight in Philly, but yet you did it with two non-black fighters. You did it for Corinne and you did it for Stantionis. I'm not lying. They was willing to appease Karen in the rematch so the fight wouldn't be outside Philly. So they paid him the money they could have paid Norman. And they did it for Stantionis. I know, I'm not talking about, Norman had a fight. I'm talking about the thought process. Did y'all ever come up to this point where you said, well, we can make accommodations for this shit to happen? After Norman fight, they showed Rachel Donaire broke it down, and they still didn't respect what she did. Rachel Donaire broke this shit down to the T on Eddie Hearn's not responding in a timely manner to make these negotiations work with Brian Norman Jr. Then when the clock ran out, they wanted to talk about they sent offers and all this other shit when Eddie wasn't even trying to make the fight happen. They knew they was going to fight Corinne, period. So when the window expired, Rachel explained it. It was no more option to negotiate a unification bout. Now it was the mandatory. The mandatory supersedes a potential unification due to time restraints. Now the primary focus was them making coming up with a deal to face Karen Chukazagan for the mandatory. If they wasn't going to do it, he would be stripped of the IBF title. And we all know that wasn't going to happen. So guess what happened? They lose the purse bid. But somehow, some way, the fight still happens in Philly. I wonder who planned that out. I wonder the cash that's going to come out later on what they spent to appease a team who won the purse bid. They won the purse bid. Eddie didn't even want to win the purse bid. Then they had to pay extra on top of not winning the purse bid to have the fight in Philly. And then I was up here speaking to some of these other fight fans. They said, "Nah, they didn't have to do anything. You want to bet? You better believe it." Them people won the purse bid, and you think they just gonna nod their head and say, "Yeah, we'll fight you in Philly. Don't worry about it. I know y'all didn't win. It's okay." No. They had to placate their palms, grease them palms down with that monetary currency. You know what I'm saying? That good monetary currency, grease the palms for that fight to be in Philly. Bam, the fight happened in Philly. Turn back around. Stantionis get the motherfucking concierge service too. Triage, please. They wanted to make sure everything was great with Stantionis. Kudos to Karen and Imantis. Kudos to y'all because y'all got that golden ticket. But the Southern guy, the Southern champion, he couldn't get that. He couldn't get that concierge service. You know, he's from the South. You know what I'm saying? They still got them moonshiners down there in the South. We don't like them moonshiners when it comes to boxing. They're always placing bets and they already hit the moonshine and they drunk. And they can't remember what they betted. I mean, come on, bro. They could have very well appeased Team Norman upwards of $2 million and made that fight happen. But if you combine the money that they had to pay out with Stantionis extra and Karen, it's senseless to think that this is even a debate. This is not even close to a debate. Clearly, they ducked Norman. Clearly, they ducked him. Eddie wasn't even answering the phone. If you go back and look at the live, shout out to Rachel Donaire, broke it down. A person is actually in the game that they don't respect when she's putting out knowledge. Why? Because they want to hear her go with the narrative. They want her to, just go with the flow. No. She went off integrity. She broke it down thoroughly. She told me something I did not know. Eddie meet the timeline to negotiate a unification fight with Norman. Once that was over, they tried to act like Norman, they shut it down. It was out the window. No, Eddie didn't return. He didn't want to give them the money they was asking for, but yet he want to give extra money to Karen. I don't want to take too much time on that because I know we've been flipping and doing freaking duck acrobats, speaking about the facts. Motherfuckers flipping backwards, trying to avoid that smoke all over money. And that just goes to show you, man, people are willing to say that these promoters won't do anything and then lie on the another fighter. Eddie's willing to do anything. He's been on a losing streak. He's willing to get a fight back in his good graces. That's all. I heard that Shakur Stevenson cut ties or whatever. I choose not to talk about it today, but they must have felt that it was in they right to basically put the vehicle in reverse and sever ties and sign with Lou DiBella allegedly. That's crazy. I'm just curious to know how this all going to work out right now because Lou DiBella doesn't have the best rapport over there with Tank is signed. He doesn't. But when you talk to the pundits, they acting like that was a very solid move. That was a good move for Shakur. Now, hey, if he's gonna get Cepeda, cool. But I thought, the plan, the end game was to get Tank Davis after the Mont Roach. Let's see if it happens. Let's see if this move was the best move for him. But ultimately, salute to everyone that pulled up in the chat, man. Bruce Gas Boxing Jazz and more the OG in the building. Salute to you, brother. Blue Hustle, man. On deck, what it do, man? Collins on deck, keeping the same temperature. He said Team Ennis scam in boxing is the biggest scam in boxing. For sure. Avanesian took a dive. I don't care what nobody say. He was not hurt. Go back and watch the end of the round. Hey, I agree with you, bro. But when you talk to the boots enthusiast, the agitators. That's what I'm gonna call the freaking Boots fans because they so upset. And look, if you pay attention to their behavior, the Boots fans is acting just like the EJ fans. They always mad about the opposite fighter. Why? If look, you obviously love dysfunctionality to the point where you didn't learn shit from 2023. So now y'all trying to come back to the surface and be Boots fans, but be happy Boots fans. It seemed like EJ fans were so mad all the time. And they're bringing this same type of behavior over here as a Boots fan. Be happy. Speak highly of him. Talk about him. Y'all speaking too much about what Norman Jr. didn't take and what he didn't do and what he won't do. I mean, come on, man. Then y'all understand? Do y'all understand the magnitude of what happened in 2023? That was damn near as bad as the Valentine's Day massacre. It was just less bodies. I'm just saying. Boza said if Karen come forward, we're knocking him out. 2025, they still giving excuses about that fight. Hey, man, Collins be on their head, man. D-Ray live on the drive on deck, man. What it do, man. J8 in the building. I'm seeing you in a minute. Hope all is well with your brother. See, I do remember those who's in the chat regardless of where they been. And I remember, the chat members. I do. I remember the chat members. Shout out to Big Boss and Boxing in the building, man. What it do, man. Shout out to IOTBA Boxing Talk in the building. Salute to you, brother. Shout out to the TSB. Not TSB. TSP. The Spit Bucket Podcast. So I probably had it right, but shout out to him, man. Make sure y'all check him out. Fire intro, changing up the intro. You know what I'm saying? That shit fire. BG on deck, Bug gonna stop Canelo. What it do, man? One thing I say about her, she do show up. I got respect for her. She's not as emotionally vested as them other cats she hang around because they just disrespectful. And people couldn't understand when I used to tell them how in the service the Marines always had problems with the Army. But we fighting under the same nation's colors, but there was an internal war. But that doesn't mean we couldn't serve together in combat. It's just, bro, it was some bad times, man. The Marines, we was banned from Fort Belvoir. We had them damn letters up there. When it came Friday night, they say Marines, because they check ID, Marines are no longer allowed to attend Fort Belvoir Club due to incited violence. Yeah. I cannot wait till Boots move up and things don't go how they think. They're gonna stall as long as they can. Well, it's funny you mentioned that because when I've been hearing what Boots is gonna do at 154, I'm pretty sure you all heard it too. It was someone who said that Boots. Oh, I know who that was. It was me. Yes, I said it. Boots is going to run through 154 pounds. He's going to rip through the division 160. So Boots. I'm going to make so much money off him. I'm going to drain him like a turnip. Eddie Hearn said that. He's going to run through 147, 154, 160. That's just like hearing Boots said, I'm going to be undisputed in 147, 154, 160, 168. I'm going to be undisputed. How long do you think it's going to be for you to finally, become undisputed or unify? I think Ariel Hawani asked him to become undisputed or something like that. He said, just need 2 fights. 2. Okay, I got it. I got it, man. Shout out to the boxing queen, Jessica, in the building. I got it. Real talk, I got it. I still want to know why Boots didn't show up to the T-Mobile massacre. He demanded the winner, right? Yeah, that's a good question, man. You're bringing up some old fossils. I mean, come on. Look. You acting like you part of the what they call them teams. You act like you part of one of them teams that go up here and find dinosaur fossils. It's still fresh, man. Leave that dirt alone. For real, don't bring up those skeletons right now. Leave them be. People are already mad that I keep on bringing up 2023, and they want to say, "Hey, WCS, just move on." You know how you find out somebody's mad at you, but you never had a conversation with them, but they mad through what somebody else said about you on social media? So there's somehow a link, not the link that you dropped to have a panel, but there's somehow a link, a transparent, invisible link that word of mouth has said this, this, and this. Yeah, word of mouth has said that. So therefore, you run to somebody, you can't understand why they trying to treat you with disrespect, and you come to find out that it's because of somebody else that said what they said, and these people can't think for themselves, so they want to get mad. He's a bud buddy. Come on, see, that's where you're wrong. What's wrong with being a fan of the boxer? Because without the boxers, there's no boxing. I say that all the time, man. I say that all the time. Without the boxers, there's no sport. So what's wrong with appreciating boxers who stand out? If they stand out to you, you support them, you rock with them heavy. Isn't that the way it's supposed to be? I'm just trying to get this down. I'm trying to use the 2 or 3 credits in college that I got dealing with psychology. My entire point is just listen. I'm just trying to make a basic point about this shit. We've seen this type of situation play out before. All I'm trying to do is use preventative measures to get the Errol Spence fans that have turned Jaron Ennis fans to support your fighter more. You know, be happy, be jubilant, be joyful. You know, y'all get together, sing a kumbaya. Amazing grace. How sweet. And when y'all get next to the water, I want y'all to interlock arms and sway side to side. I want you all to give Boots that spiritual love. Don't make the same mistakes you did with Errol Spence and Norman go in here and knock out down Jaron Ennis. Man, come on, man. I don't want to go through. You don't want no celebration in the streets of the A. You don't want that happening, man. You don't want that happening, man. That'll turn. Come on, man. No, bro. Shout out to Boom Bap on deck, man. I was on that live. They hung up on her 100% fact. She told the truth. I was on Greg Hacker Live. They literally dropped her call. Yeah, man. Shout out to Rachel Donner, man. She pretty much broke that shit down thoroughly, and they didn't want to respect it, man. Come on, man. They didn't want to respect it, bro. Shout out to Samar Warren in the building. Salute WCS, certified stamp the like button and support the grind. Just pulling up for a second. Peace and blessings, beloved. Peace and blessings to you, bro. Peace and blessings. That's all I'm saying. This ain't going nowhere, man. They trying to boost up Stantionis to be that much better than Brian Norman. I'm like, they pretty much level out, but you got to get the edge to Norman when it comes to Stantionis because he did it in shorter time. They don't want to throw age in there because that's just a piece of criteria that they feel they didn't come up with. I found out a lot of times, like, if I explain some shit to somebody that makes sense, but it might be a little bit complex and a little bit more of a tongue twister, but if you just process it without just having some animus for the person who's giving you the info, then you will see it for what it is. But I found out, right? It's this cat the other day. You tell me if this don't make sense. We was talking about styles, right? And you hear people, boxing fans, say styles. right? And it's not even anything technical, y'all. But they keep talking about styles make fights. Within those styles, I told them a style is created by what? Because style is just the umbrella. Be honest. A style is just the umbrella. No one truly knows what a style is. But we can define a person's style based off what? Their technique. That's how, that's the only thing I say. I say styles are the end game of technique. Technique complements a certain style. When you have a boxer with technique that you admire and they do it very well, we compliment them when they go in there with the fighter and they match up very well. They say styles make fights. Internal to that style is what? Technique. Technical compliance when it comes to remediating certain styles, certain combos, or what a fighter that makes that fighter stands out that people love about it. And they'll try to break down, right? They would get up here and break down a fight and tell you how a fighter went about dominating his opponent. They'll tell you everything that fighter did. They'll tell you the punches. They'll tell you their strong points. They will tell you the pros and cons of what that fighter did well, everything. But that is their skills. Technical skills. Is styles. That's what build up a style. Technical skills build up a style. The technique for which a fighter stands out and does very well is a style. A style is an open-ended term that you like, I don't get it. If a boxer walked into, shout out to in the ring with Christine on deck. Salute to you. The hardest working woman in the game. Shout out to Texas. I gotta call you a champion trainer now. Shit. I gotta call you a champion trainer, Mike. But just say for instance, Christine is training a fighter on technical skills. And that fighter is very good at what they do technically. They have somewhat not mastered it, but they've basically come to a point where they're able to execute those techniques and compete on a high level. So when people start to have these boxing conversations, they will tell you styles make fights. Or what does that mean? I don't understand what style. What style are you talking about? Because there's so many styles. Ricardo Mayorga had a style that wasn't made for Vernon Forrest. His style wasn't accommodating to Vernon Forrest, who was a much more technically skilled fighter. Styles make fights. Ricardo Mayorga had his type of wild, loose, brawling style from the Colombian streets. And Vernon Forrest had his American technical, he had the basic fundamentals down, very, very sound, technically sound boxer, but he couldn't beat Ricardo Mayorga. But if you tie in Sugar Shane Mosley, Vernon Forrest beat Sugar Shane Mosley. But Sugar Shane Mosley, who was defeated by Vernon Forrest, who lost to Ricardo Mayorga, Sugar Shane Mosley beat Ricardo Mayorga. How does that work? How can Sugar Shane Mosley defeat Ricardo Mayorga and lose to Vernon Forrest, who lost to Ricardo Mayorga? I know the triangle theory, man, it would cripple some people. That shit's crazy. It's all about the technique for which they have to go in there and be competitive against somebody that's supposedly on the same level. You feel me? That's all I'm saying. When styles, to me, it deals with the technical skills internal to that entire word. That word is just the umbrella, and internal to that, it has criteria that for which that fighter stands out. You always hear people talk about what they like about a certain fighter. They'll tell you, I like this about this person. Like, okay, that's their skills, right? That's their technical skills. We're past the fundamentals. That's their technical skill set that they combined together, and they're able to take their boxing IQ and go in there and contend. So if that person wins, especially if they beat somebody that's supposed to be on elite level as such, it's supposed to be damn near equal, and they go in there and beat that and defeat that opponent, we can say fairly easy. People always come back and say, well, that styles make fights, and so style was better tonight. With that style, you have to have boxing IQ to go along with that. So the more technique you use, the more technique you're able to make applicable to making adjustments in the ring towards an opponent that may be a little bit, tougher than you thought when it comes to competing. Who knows, man? Y'all definitely go over there and check out In the Ring with Christine, doing a thing as always. Definitely go check her out. Crushing Wednesdays. I don't know if that's Women Crushing Wednesdays. Be sure to check that out. She be having boxers on there. She be talking that boxing. You know what I'm saying? Doing her thing in the sport of boxing. She was a part of Team USA. Metcalf is now champion. So salute to her doing her thing, man. Shout out to your fam. But yeah, that's what I was trying to explain to them. Not to go in so much detail, but I was just looking at it from a simplistic standpoint. Like, people always, debate boxing and say styles make fights, but they'll talk about the technique that complements that style, right? It's just like wearing clothing. Somebody say, I like your style. Okay, what exactly about my style? And then they have to name something that gives you that style, right? They have to name something. Man, I like your style. I like how you dress. What exactly? Oh, well, you wear this, and this, and you always dress it up with that. Okay, you have a certain style based off what you're dressing in. What's your attire looking like? Your taste of clothing, if we're talking about fashion. The way you dress it up together brings on a certain style. That's the way I looked at, boxing, because style is so open-ended and empty. You have to talk about the criteria that complements the style. And that's, to me, that's the technical skill of a fighter. That's all. I did speak about this earlier, and I was on Spaces over there speaking on it. And I was asking the chat, right? How can it happen? But really, no one truly knows how it's happening. They can just see that it is happening. When I brought up this 3-fight card that's going on really soon, May 2nd, right? We're talking about a fight card where that's going on next week, that you're saying to yourself, this is outside the norm of what we used to seeing based off of fighters' credentials. The credentials for certain fighters on the undercard are much more exclusive than the main event. Ryan Garcia versus Rolando Romero, who would have thought this would be it? Who would have thought, coming off a year suspension, he would have been blessed with a main event card in the very same city that suspended him? I know people are going to say what they say, man, but I'm just looking at this from a simplistic point. The basic thought that ran across my mind in tying this all together, because when I was saying people are not going to like how this all play out because they was cussing Ryan out for being a cheat, I say, bro, Ryan has much more going on in the sport of boxing. Y'all need to understand that. And here you go. This man is headlining in the very same city that he was suspended. Is that not two cactus hands slapping the shit out of you? Ryan Garcia, I don't think I've ever seen this shit happen like that. You get suspended by the New York State Athletic Commission and then return off that 1 year suspension to headline a card on top of the very same fighter that you beat up when you was on Ostarine. The very same fighter that you now look, I also have to factor this into it. They're fighting on the card. No complaints. I would like to hear somebody inquire and see what Bill Haney has to say about this shit. I don't think this is a position that he ever would agree to unless the money was right. You understand what I'm saying? The money had to be right, bro. The money had to be right for them to co-line. Look, hear me what I'm saying. They were suing Ryan Garcia for battery and some other details, only for him to come off suspension and be the co-feature to the very same fighter that was suspended for fighting and beating him up in the ring unfairly on Ostarine. And this is the very same fighter who went on the racist tirade and talking about Muslims and inners and all that shit. Say he was intoxicated. But I've never seen this happen in the sport of boxing, period. I've never seen it. I've never seen that shit happen. Point blank, period. Never. I've never seen that shit happen. Appreciate you. Yes, Women Crushing It Wednesdays on 8 Central, 9 Eastern Standard Time. For sure, for sure. Y'all definitely check out In the Ring with Christine, man. She'll be having some live and living color interviews on there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, for sure. Appreciate that, BG. Yeah, check out In the Ring with Christine. Been in the boxing game for a good long time now. She can be considered a champion trainer, part of Team USA. She's doing her thing, man. You know, and I got mad respect for Christine. You know, she's been doing her thing in boxing. She ain't just playing and pretending the part. Y'all be sure to sub to her channel. Yeah, but that's just what I felt about this. And Teofimo Lopez, who beat Lomachenko, arguably out of everybody on here, in my opinion, Teofimo defeated a fighter that was on the pound for pound list at the time he did it in 16 fights. Come on, bro. Like, come on, man. Like nobody else on this freaking lineup did what Teo did in 16 fights, defeating a fight on the pound for pound list. But I know that was an old fight, but yet he turned around and beat another undisputed divisional champion in Josh Taylor. A 2-division lineal champion. It's the first fight of the night of Times Square in a special event. No invite. I don't get it. Seriously, I do. I mean, I don't get it. I'm just being honest with you, bro. I'm just being honest. But I dropped a link in the chat. I just want to hear if y'all got anything to say about some of the events that just happened. You know, I heard that Keyshawn Davis, the reason why him and Edwin De Los Santos fell out is because supposedly Samson Likowitz. Hold on for a second. My fault. I had to help with something. But anyway, appreciate y'all pulling up. Seems like nobody wanted to talk about this particular subject because they can give a damn. I get it. But y'all hold it down. Shout out to the hottest chat in the MF and game. Appreciate y'all. And we should do it again another time, another place. Peace.